praises to the Most High through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Shalom, shalom, shalom again, through brother and sister. I'm coming at you again with another video, another lesson, which is very important to understanding the Bible. So for anyone to understand the Bible, you need to know first and foremost who are the people mentioned in the Bible and how did the Most High He set up the earth. So without any further ado, this is the question I'm going to ask. Is a nation a country? Is a nation a country? That's the first question. How many nations did God create? Not men. I'm not talking about men. I say, how many nations did God create? Who created or came up with the 195 nations? Because when you Google how many nations are on the earth, it will show you 195. So did the Most High create 195 nations on the earth today? Or on that time? No. Who created those 195? Satan with his people. That came up with it, right? So without any further ado, let's go to the book of Genesis to get understanding. How many nations are on the earth? How many nations until this very last day? Same thing. Nothing new under the sun. And I'm going to read it. Let me go quick to the book of Ecclesiastes. Let me go to the book of Ecclesiastes and I'm going to read chapter 1. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verses 9. Say again, there's nothing new under the sun. Like I said earlier, only the Most High created the nation. Only. But men, through Satan, came up with some doctrine, some satanic doctrine to deceive the whole world. So, without any further ado, let me read this, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verses 9 through 11. He said, the thing that had been, that means whatever happened in the past, it is that which shall be. So, is that thing that happened in the past that going to happen again? Let's continue. And that which is done is that which shall be done. So, whatever happened in the past, that was going to happen. Let's continue. And there is no new thing under the sun. So what does it mean? There won't be no new nation on the sun. So if there were Elamite back in those days, there's still Elamite till this very last day. That might be called a different name. But they're still Elamite because now they're hiding their original name. Right? Let's continue. Verses 10. Is there anything, wherefore it may be said, this is new? You say, see, this is new. It had been already of old time. So it happened in a time, long time ago, which was before us. There's no remembrance of former thing, neither shall there be any remembrance of the thing that are to come, which though that shall come after. So you see, so without any further ado, let's go. So there's no new thing under the sun. There is no new things. So let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 10. I'm going to say this before I move forward. In total, the Most High, Yahweh Ba'Shem HaMashiach, He created only 18 nations. 18 nations, no more than that. 18. So, you have to belong to one of these nations. So, which one do you belong to? And do not tell me that nation doesn't matter. It's all about your... No, that's a lie. That's Christianity that teach that garbage. That's Christianity tell you it doesn't matter. Everything matters. So, you need to know who you are. This bastard, this devil right here, he teaches these things. So you need to know who you are. It's important that you know who you are. Who are you in the Bible? Who is who in the Bible? You need to understand. So you can get prepared for your judgment, for whatever the Most High is about to bring upon you. But in Christianity, they tell you it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You need to know which nation are you from so you can know your judgment, your future judgment. Where would you be when the next kingdom be set up? Would you be in hell? Will you be enslaved? Whatever is important, you have to understand. You need to know that. You don't know this, you're wasting your time. You're just wasting your time. Literally ask your pastor that. A brother said that if you don't know which nation you belong to, is in vain whatever they've been telling you in the church is important. So let's read it. Like I say, Satan or the so-called white people in the other nation together, they came up with 195 nations, right? So who divided and conquer everybody? The so-called white people. They divided and conquer everybody and give people different names and themselves names, whatever they want to do, right? Based on their father, Satan, the devil. Because in the beginning, the Most High, He already set up all the nations, right? So let's read it. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 10, and verses 1. He said, now, these are the generation of the son of Noah. So because we know before the flood, he got three, and Noah, he got 3 sons. So when the Most High, he killed all the sinner, all the wicked, the rebellious, the hard-headed, right? Like he's going to do very soon, again on this earth, with fire. Back in those days, he did it with what? With water. This time it's going to be fire. The Most High is going to kill all the wicked. With fire, the Most High will kill them all. So he got 3 sons that were saved with their wives. So from those three sons, the Most High, he set up nation. From the 3 sons of Noah, it's not so many. He set up nation. And then it's only for those 3 sons that all the first 16 nations came up. And then, still from one of his grandson, the Most High came up with 2 more nations. That make it 18. Because when you do 16 plus 2, it make it 18, right? So, let me sip a little bit of fresh orange juice quick. And I'm ready. He said, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 10, and verses 1. Now, these are the generation of the son of Noah. Who? We got Shem, which you also call Shemitic. Shemitic people. Shemite, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So Japheth was the elder son. Japheth was the elder son. And unto them were son born after the flood. So after the flood. Now let's see who are the son of Japheth. Then he said, the son of Japheth. He said, the son of Gomer. Let's see, the son of Gomer and Magog. He said, the son of Japheth, right? You have Gomer, which is 1 nation, and Magog, that make it 2 nations. You got Madai, that make it 3 nations. Javan, that make it what? 4 nations. Tubal, that make it 5 nations. You got Meshech, that make it 6 nations. And Tiras, that make it 7 nations. So far, just from Japheth, it was what? 7 nations. 7 nations. 7 nations. 7 nations. So let's keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to continue. He said, I'm going to read verses 4 quick. He said, and the son of Javan, Elijah. I'm not going to jump into that. Now, he said, yeah, I'm going to say the son of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isle of the Gentiles divided in the lands. So you see, at that time, he said, well, the son of Japheth, the Most High gave them the island. So which island? He said, Tarshish and Kittim. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you look at the word Tarshish, is Spain. It is in Spain. It's in Spain and Portugal. Tarshish is in Spain and Portugal. So the children of Javan, not white people. Okay, don't get it twisted. White people were not living in Europe in the beginning. There was no such thing as a so-called white person in Europe in that time. The time I'm reading, there was none, zero. There was no white people yet on the earth. So relax and let me educate you right now. Keep your mouth shut and relax, or go grab your Bible and grab yourself something to take note. So he said, I'm going to say it again. He said they were given, and the son of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, and Kittim, and Dodanim. He said, by this son, right, that came from who? From Javan. So Javan is what? The 4th son of what? The 4th nation of Japheth, right? He said his children, they divided this island by themselves. So the children of Japheth, they were the one that the Most High gave literally, like Greece, Italy, France, all children of Japheth, not Esau, not Edomite, not white people. Okay, so let's keep focused now. And I'm going to continue. He said, when you go Google the word Tarshish, is Tarshish. When you Google that word, you ask Google, what is the location? Like I said again, and I'm going to repeat it again because I just, my voice recorder just lost track. So I got to restart it again. So like I said, so the son of Japheth, right? There were what? 7 nations. So 7 nations came from Japheth. 7 nations. So Regardless how many kids they have, they still belong to their father lineage. That's why the Most High said, you are what your father is. So if your father is Israel, you are Israelite. If your father is Esau, you Esau, point blank. Point blank. So you are whatever your father is. Like I'm going to say it again. Let me just go to the book of Numbers for argument's sake, right? Somebody might try to argue. So argue with me, like trying to say, oh no, they're trying to debunk it. So Christians, they're always trying to debunk the Bible. So this is the book of Numbers, chapter 1 and verses 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigree. What is your pedigree? Your lineage, your bloodline, okay? After their family, by the house of their father. You see, by the house of your father. So you are what your father is. Regardless whether it be 300 years after, 500 years, 1,000 years, you are what your father is. If your father is a so-called white man, then you're a so-called white man. It doesn't matter if your mom is a Chinese. It doesn't matter if your mom is from Colombia, or your mom is from Benin, or your mom is from Bangladesh. It doesn't matter. You are what your father is. Your father, the man, is the one that carry the seed. That's the Most High. I just read it to you. He said, by the house of their father, according to the number of their name. So that's why I'm saying 7 nations, because who is the father of all these people? Is Japheth. So Japheth, from Japheth alone, we got 7 nations. So we're going to do the math together. So which island the Most High gave them? The Most High gave them war. They have war. The island which is in Europe, mainly Europe, and all the islands, like you got what? Greece, Cyprus, you got Italy, you got Portugal, you got, I'll say England, all those. Because when you Google the word Tarshish, it's going to show you Spain. Now when you Google the word Kittim, it's going to tell you it's what? Cyprus, which is near Greece. So all those islands the Most High gave unto the children of Japheth, not white people. That's why when you go to Europe, when you get a chance, you go to Europe and you go to the metro in Paris or other places, you're going to see the gypsy. You can see them, except for the one that were raped. But the one, you can see some of them, they still look kind of like light skin. Some still look darker. You see the gypsy girl. A lot of them in the metro, they be like beggars. They be asking for money. But a lot of them, they're sophisticated to steal your money so fast. If you sleep, they're gonna snatch your wallet so fast. If you go in Europe and you sleep in the metro, especially in Paris, because they're all over the place, right? Because they lose their habitation, they lose their land when the so-called white people conquer them. So Europe was not for white people. They conquered the people over there, and that's another video. How did they end up in Europe? How did they end up in Africa? I'm gonna make another video. But on this one, this lesson is just to let you know that, okay, this is how the Most High divided everything. He told Noah to do. So let's continue. Then I'm going to read verse 5. So he says, so Tarshish, like I say, when you Google Tarshish, you're going to see Spain. You Google Kittim, is Cyprus, near Greece. Is an island. So all those islands were divided. Europe, all these were given to the children of Japheth. So they got 7 nations. Okay? Then I'm going to read verse 5. He said, by this were the isle of the Gentiles divided in their land. Everyone after his tongue, you see, after their families, in their nations, you see, in their nation. So it doesn't matter how many children Gomer have, they're all from the nation of Gomer. They're Gomerite, Magogite. You look at Mediite, Javanite, etc. It doesn't matter they have 1 million sons, they say Javanite, whatever they are. But so far, 7 nations. Let's jump to Ham. Verse 6. And verse 6, it says, this is the book of Genesis chapter 10 and verse 6. And the son of Ham, so Ham is one of the sons of who? Of Noah, right? Let's see. He said, here are the sons of Ham, you are Cush. So this is basic. If you Google Cush, who are the Cushite today? This is the Ethiopian. The Ethiopian, Eritrean, etc. And some of them might be in Sudan, stuff like that. But Eritrean and Ethiopian mainly. Eritrean and Ethiopian, because they used to be one people until later on they separated and they start fighting each other. So you got Cush, which are the Ethiopian, north of Africa, northeast Africa. Let's continue. You got Mizraim, because the word means what? Mizraim is upper and lower, is Egypt today, what you call Egypt, Mizraim. So you have who? The Egyptian, which the majority of them live in Kenya, some of them in Sudan, some of them in Ethiopia, a little bit in Egypt, but the majority of people that live in Egypt today, a lot of them are what? Arab mixed with Canaanite. So, but let's continue. So far, it make it two nations, right? From Ham so far. We got Cush, which are the Ethiopian, right? And the Eritrean. We got Mizraim, which are the Egyptian, not those one in Egypt today, because they were very dark-skinned people and very tall stature, which we look at them through the Spirit, we believe that they are who the people in Kenya, etc., and other places like Sudan, etc. But not to say that we don't have our people among them. We scattered throughout the four corners. There's still blacks among them, especially so-called Negro, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, still a small remnant among the other nations. You're going to see. So let's continue. I'm going to continue. And food. So his food is written in P-H-U-T. Food are who? The so-called Libyan. Those Libyan, that's them. North Africa. Still, that three nations so far. And Canaan. So the Canaanites originally were living in what? The land of Canaan. That land they were not given, but they went there because it was the land of Shem. But the Canaanite, they went there over there by force. It was the land of Shem. It was for the children of Shem. But they went there and occupied the land. So, four nations came from who? Ham. So Ham is the forefather. One of his sons was what? Nimrod. Nimrod, who was a mighty hunter. He was a hunter. He's the one that Esau murdered to run and come back home. You see? So I'm going to continue. So we already got what? 7 nations from the children of Japheth. So we got 7 which the Most High give them what? Europe and the island of Europe, like England, Spain, Italy, Rome, Greece, Cyprus, all those Germany, those were their land. That's what the Most High give them. All those areas the Most High give them, right? Now, we left them. Then we came to who? Hanai. You see, the Most High give them what? Only North Africa and a little bit of Egypt. Going inside Saudi Arabia, like kind of Saudi Arabia, and a little small part of the Middle East in the beginning, because the Canaanites were living somewhere right there. So the Canaanites were right there. So you got what? 4 nations from Ham. So far we got what? 7 plus 4 and make it what? 11. So let's jump now to who? Let's jump now to who? Let's jump to verses 21 through 22. Let's read verses 21 through 22 so we can tackle the next nation, that be coming. So we got so far 11, 7 plus 11. From Javan, we got 7 nations. From Ham, we got what? 4 nations. Who? We got who? Foot, which are the Libyans, right? North Africa, which a lot of them say scattered. You got the Egyptian, which are mainly today we believe the Kenyan. A little bit of them might still be, a remnant might still living in Egypt, but the Most High kicked them out too from the land and allow the Arabs or the other nations to take over, because the people that live in Egypt today, they are not originally Egyptian. They are a mix of maybe a little bit of the Asian Egyptian mixed with the white people and mixed with Arabs. It's all mixed all together and with some other nation right there. So let's continue to see how many sons Shem has. So this is the book of Genesis chapter 10 and verses 21 through 22. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth. So Shem was the brother of Japheth, the elder. Even to him were children born. So let's see how many nations came from Japheth, from Shem. Let's see. The children of Shem, you have Elam, which are mainly the so-called Iranian and East Indian. They're the same people. Just they got separated over time and they think they're different people. They're same people. So you say Elamite, right, which are the Pakistani too. So Pakistan and India, they used to be same people too. Pakistani and India, they used to be one together. They got separated and they become enemies by the time goes by, right? Let's continue. He said Elam, so we know Elamite, the East Indian, and part of Iranian, but those people that live in Iran today, they are not originally the true Iranian, because they are being bleached. When the white man started conquering the whole world, he raped the hell out of them, he conquered them, because we know through the Bible and the history war, the Mid-Persian, which is nothing other than the East Indian and the ancient Iranian. I took classes with Iranian. They are very, very dark-skinned people. I've seen Iranian classmates, very dark-skinned people at the university, okay? So then, when they took over the land, what did they do? They raped and start missing, because remember, when the Mid-Persian took over the Babylonian, who overthrew them? Who overthrew them? Who overthrew the Mid-Persian? The Greeks. The Greeks. So when a nation or an empire conquer you, guess what? They ravish the woman. They rape the woman, they take over, they do. It's always like that in history. So they raped the woman, they subdued the men. So the Greek conquered them, they did the same thing. So when they conquered the whole world, when the Roman took over the so-called white people, when they came to power and took over the whole world, guess what? They went again into Iran because they conquered the whole world. Google it, the Roman Empire, and look how vast was it. Look at the Roman Empire, it was almost the whole earth. You Google the Greek Empire and you see how big it was. It's very important to understand those things. That's why you see a lot of pale people in Iran. A lot of looking like white people in Iran. Because what? The rape and miscegenation is called miscegenation. Say MESCGENATION. Miscegenation. You can Google that definition and understand what does it mean. It's the mixing with so many different races. Like interracial mixing, primary, something like that. Similar word. So you need to understand those things. Until you understand, you won't know what's going on in the Bible. You won't know who the Most High is talking to. So anytime a kingdom conquer one, guess what? They ravish the woman. They rape the hell out of the woman and they subdue the men. It's always been like that. So he said what? Let me read it again. And so far we got Shem got what? Elam and Asher and Arphaxad, which we know Abraham came from originally. If we were to give Abraham a nation, he's from the nation of Arphaxad. And he was Arphaxad all the way down until the promises the Most High made to him. But however, his nation hasn't changed yet. Because the promise was just from Abraham to Isaac, Isaac to Jacob. So if you say, who is the first father of the Hebrew Israelite? We can say Abraham. Abraham to Isaac, not Ishmael. Ishmael is what? Arphaxad. He's still Arphaxad. Why? Because he came from Abraham. He's from the tribe, from Shem, but guess what? They're Semitic people. But guess what? Are they Israelite? No. What nation was Abraham originally? Arphaxad, from the nation of Arphaxad. So far we got Shem, he got who? Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. So far he got 5. So just from Shem himself, we got 5 nations. So total, look how many nations? That's all that they got. So now, when you go look at all these names, like Havilah is part of what? Middle Eastern. Like coming through like Africa, but like part of Middle Eastern. If you look at all those names, right? You Google all those places. There are a couple of places that have been mentioned. You Google, you're gonna find that what those places are very near. For example, if you Google the word Mesha, is what? Near the Red Sea, going toward Mount Sefer. So many information you need to understand. There's so many things. So far, you got what total? 7 nations from who? Japheth. Okay. Then we got 4 nations from who? Ham. Then we got 5 nations from who? Shem. So 7 plus 4 is 11. 11 plus 5 is what? 16. So we have 2 nations more missing. Let's go find out. So like I say, anyone who is born of Abraham, they're from the nation of who? Arphaxad. They're Arphaxad. They are Arphaxad. So Ishmael or all the other sons that Abraham has with the other wives, they're all from the nation of Arphaxad. Arphaxad, because Abraham came from the tribe, from the nation of Arphaxad. So Abraham originally was an Arphaxad. Right. So now let's go. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 25. Let's see. Where are the other nations? This is the book of Genesis, chapter 25, and I'm going to read from verses 19. And these are the generation of Isaac, Abraham's son. So at that point, we will say, well, until even Isaac, we will say, until even Isaac, we will say, well, that they were from the lineage of who? The nation of Arphaxad. Arphaxad, until that point. However, because the Most High gave them promise from Abraham, guess what? Abraham is an Israelite too. Who? Isaac is an Israelite too. Because when did the Most High change our name to Israel? When did he change it? After our forefather Jacob, he wrestled with the angel and prevailed. The book of Genesis chapter 32. So let's continue. and verses 19. And this is Genesis chapter 25 and verse 19. And these are the generation of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife. So he took Rebekah for wife when he was 40 years old. The daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Padron Aram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, because the sister cannot get pregnant. So Isaac, he went and prayed to the Most High. He didn't go and see the doctor. He didn't see your witch doctor like you do, your women do today, your men. They're quick. They don't have faith. They don't believe in the Most High. And these are Christians. They don't trust in the healing of the Most High. They trust in the healing of this world. They trust in Satan. They trust in the doctor. And when the doctor gives them pills and medicament or drugs that give them like side effect, then they'll be wondering why that happened, because they don't trust in the Most High. They think you have to take vitamin pill before your wife gives birth, or when she's birth. No, that's a foolishness. That's weakness. That's of this world. Sarah, they never took that. Rebecca never. Let's see what Rebecca did. It said, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebecca his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. So when she got pregnant, guess what? She didn't want to see the doctor. She just prayed to the Most High for his wife, and his wife got pregnant. Now let's see. And the children struggled together. When you look at the word struggle, it's more they were fighting. The baby were fighting. Can that happen today? No. But if the Most High wants, yes, it can happen. The Most High can have two twins where they're going to fight again in the womb. The Most High, he does all things. He controls all things. Whether it be through Christ or through Satan. The Most High controls all things. Let's continue. He said, and the children struggle together within her. Now, when the baby is fighting, she's having pain. She's going through hard time. Let's see what she did. Did she want to see like a pediatrician, or did she want to see, or how do you call them? Your gynecolog, or like whatever. Your doctor, your witch doctor. Did he went to the hospital to go see them, to tell them to prescribe her drugs and medicine that she can fight the pain? No. Let's see what she did. That's how you know that this world is a very perverse, is a wicked generation. They have no clue. They don't have faith. They don't believe in the Most High. They're a bunch of idiots. They know nothing. They don't, listen, they don't lift up the Most High. They put the Most High down and place men above the Most High. Romans chapter 1, verses 19 all the way down to 32. Same thing. That's what Christianity is all about. They hate the Most High. They push for their own loss, their own weakness. Let's continue. And she said, if it be so, because she's going through pain, the baby fighting, said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. So she went and prayed. She didn't want to see a gynecologist, ophthalmologist. Oh, I'll go see my doctor. My wife is a... No. She literally went and prayed and asked the Most High, why am I going through this? Why this happening? Let's see. She prayed to the Most High. She kept the commandment she asked the Most High. So guess what? She was a prophetess too, because the Most High spoke to her. Let's see what the Most High responded to her. And she went to inquire of the Lord, so she asked the Most High. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb. So you see, that's where you get a 2 nations. So 16 plus 2 make it 18. He said, 2 nations are in thy womb. And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. So the Most High said they're going to be separated. They won't be together. Those 2 nations, normally when you have twins, they're brothers straight up. You can't divide it. But the Most High said, they're going to be separated. The day they're going to be born, they're going to be separated. They're not going to get along. They're going to be enemies. Enemies. The Most High made it like that. The Most High said they're going to be enemies. Enemy. Let's continue. He said, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people. That's why you see Latino blacks, we're more stronger than the so-called white people. Naturally, physically. We don't have to take all those things to lift weight. Naturally, we're strong people. The Most High made it like that. Don't get mad. Don't tell me it doesn't matter. It's all matter. And I'm not reading. He said, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people. Don't you think it's by coincidence you see like Mexican boxing doing good? You think by coincidence that black people, they can box too, they can run, play basketball, football, all this? You think it's by coincidence? No. That's the Bible prophecy. Let's continue. And the elder shall serve the younger. He said the elder. Who is the elder? The first one that's going to come up, it was the so-called white man. And when her day to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. Twin. And the first came out red. That's your first white person on the earth. You see? And the first came out red. All over like a